The debate surrounding the necessity of physical buildings for worship has long been a topic of discussion. However, when we turn to the Bible, we find a resounding message that worship goes beyond the confines of physical structures. Acts 16 verse 13 beautifully illustrates this point by depicting women praying by a riverside, showcasing that worship can take place in unconventional settings, away from traditional places of worship. Similarly, Zephaniah 2 verse 11 mentions people from all corners of the world worshiping God from various locations, emphasizing the universal and inclusive nature of worship. Even in ancient times, before the era of Jesus, scriptures emphasized the idea of worshiping God from any place. Jesus himself exemplified this belief by preaching in diverse settings like seashores and homes, underscoring that worship is not confined to temples or grand edifices. Following his example, his disciples continued to pray and study in homes after his resurrection, reinforcing the notion that elaborate buildings are not essential for spiritual connection and communion with God. While the construction of grand religious buildings can serve as communal spaces for believers to gather and worship together, there are valid concerns regarding the true intentions behind such structures. Some may argue that these elaborate buildings prioritize financial gain and control over the core values of faith, love, and obedience. In doing so, the focus on architectural magnificence could potentially overshadow the fundamental principles of sincere worship and spiritual growth. At its core, worship is not about the grandeur of physical structures but rather about the sincerity and devotion of one's heart. True worship is grounded in prioritizing adherence to God's commandments and embodying His teachings in daily life. By cultivating a deep connection with God through internalizing His teachings and reflecting His values in our actions, believers can experience genuine communion with the divine, irrespective of the presence or absence of ornate buildings. Authentic worship is a spiritual practice that transcends physical boundaries and can occur anywhere, as long as there are sincere hearts earnestly seeking communion with God. By embracing the teachings of the Bible and emphasizing spiritual authenticity over material extravagance, individuals can foster a deeper relationship with God and embody the true essence of faith and worship in their lives. Ultimately, it is the purity of intention and the depth of one's connection with the divine that define the authenticity of worship, rather than the opulence of the structures in which it takes place.